It says, Mr. Olczyk, the Maple Leafs are on the phone. I go, tell them I'll be at the game. She comes back 30 seconds later. She goes, no, they really want to talk to you. And I'm like,
are you kidding me?
Yes.
The audacity.
I left the room. I went to the nurse's station, which was about 30 feet away. And they got on the phone. They said, we hate to do this to you, but we just traded you to the Winnipeg Jets.
Eddie, what did you say?
His wife's pushing at the time.
You remember those calling cards you used to have?
Yeah.
I had one in my pocket, so I got traded with Ozzy, my buddy Mark Osborne. I called Ozzy. I called Gary Lehman, my close friend. I called my dad, and I called Ricky Curran and Billy Waters, who were my agents. And I was maybe gone, maybe 5 minutes. I walk into the room. My wife's still in that same position, on her back, the whole 9 yards. Doctor's at the foot of the bed, mask on, gloves on. And she goes, where you been? I go, my aunt's sick. I don't know what the hell to say. I don't want to say anything. She looks at me, horny. She looks at the ceiling and she goes, where are we going?
Oh yeah.
God.
And I said to myself,
in between contractions.
Yeah.
I said, psychic and pregnant? I said, this is unbelievable. So I figured, well, guess. That's all I said was guess.
Guess?
Guess. She looks at me and she looks at the ceiling and goes, Winnipeg.
Come on.
All I see is the doctor with this most disgusting look at his face at the foot of the bed. Takes his mask off, he pulls off the rubber gloves, and he stands up and he goes, this baby ain't coming for about 4 hours.
It's going back in.
That's it. That's what happened. But you know what? Ended up being one of the best places I ever played in the Peg. So, yeah. So, sorry to go off on a tangent there, but that's
listen, a story like that honestly, your own owed compensation from the team or something. You can't call someone out of the delivery room.
I tell players that story now, our current players in the league or whatever.
They'd have quit.
And they like, no, come on. I go, no. That really happened. That really.
Like, imagine being on the Leafs and being like, yeah, his wife's giving birth. Being like, all right, we'll call the hospital. Like, can we do this tomorrow? No one can wait a day.
It's okay. Floyd Smith was on the phone, the general manager at the time, and he says, we hate to do this to you, but
they didn't hate doing it that much.
I know.
Anyway,
it's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Can we get back to the Stanley Cup final?
Hey, hold on a second. November 10th, 1990. That is the anniversary. That's my son Tommy's birthday. So anytime we get around that date, or on his birthday, we have a little chuckle back in the day. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
Yeah.
For that and more, buy Eddie Olczyk's book with Perry Lefko.
Very nice. Thanks, Skipper. Thanks.
All right.
At least mine didn't come with crayons.
Edzo, as far as the goaltending scenario regarding the Edmonton Oilers, a lot of talk on whether or not you go back to Skinner or not. We know that he is. We know that they are. But how close was it for you on making a decision?
No, I thought to go right back to him. Now, is he on a short leash to maybe try to change the momentum of the series like Coach Knobloch did in that LA series? Hell yes. I think anything goes now. I look at you want to argue a goal or two the other night in game 3 that you'd like to get a stop or whatever. Yeah, for sure. But I did not have a problem. I think you go to him, and then I think you got to let Pickard in there if he happens to give up a couple of soft ones. I don't expect him to give up a couple, but I think anything goes now. I think that this is obviously, we know what it is. It's obviously a gigantic game, and I know what happened last year. We understand that. Both teams are different now. No Hyman, a banged-up Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, lineup changes for Edmonton. It's an interesting dilemma, but not for me for the goaltender. I think he's been pretty darn good, and I'm okay with the decision.
Eddie, one of the defining traits of this Oilers team is when we write them off, they have success, right? Start of the year for a couple years in a row, they're done, they're not going to make playoffs, whatever, and then they get hot. You don't need me to explain it all. With Florida, so my point is, we don't know that Florida's going to win this series, win the Stanley Cup again. But if they do, if they manage to look like the team we've seen through a couple games here and they get it done again, I wrote an article that was basically said, I think general managers are going to take the wrong lessons from the Florida Panthers' success. Because I think right now you hear a lot of people saying, you need to be tough. It's because the Panthers are tough, and that's why they win. They're mean, they're gritty, they're whatever. But to me, the lessons are they have great offensive players who play 200-foot game. They commit all over the ice, these guys. Reinhart gets Selke votes, and so does Barkov and Marchand, and they got 6 guys getting Selke votes. What do you think the defining traits are that are leading to the success of this Panthers team for 3 straight years now?
Wow. I would say depth for sure.
Yeah.
The guy in goal he's gone to another level here. I don't think that Bobrovsky, he was pretty good early in that first period, I thought. The other night in game 3, I know one hit him right square in the mask. The depth of this team, I think the size of this team for sure. But then also the willingness, though, Borny, is for a coach like Paul Maurice, he does play his bench. He doesn't have to, I don't say exhaust his top players, because look, they get the 4-on-4 and they get the power play, whatever. But if he has Nosek, Gadjevich, and Greer out there, like that trio, I thought made a difference the other night in that game. When Greer was out, that's a different look for that line. And I know Boquist has come in and performed well at times in these playoffs for them. And I think he got a chance to be with, I think it was with Barkov earlier in the playoffs. And I think he might have scored, maybe in the Toronto series. I can't remember. But anyways, what I'm getting at is I just think that, the depth and size of their team, and they just play a certain way. And like I said, they do have the ability to play any way that you want. And they got some really, really, really good players. There's no question about it. You look at their back end, it's pretty mobile. They have the ability. I think, when you talk about, the lessons for other managers, Borny, when I look at it, is the ability on the back end to go ahead and either make a play, skate yourself out of trouble, or be able to, get out of a forecheck, make that one move, and then make the right play out of the zone. Like, I think that their D really has a good job of it. And sometimes it's okay to go around the boards and around the glass and just get it into an area. And that's not just in the neutral zone where they do a lot of high flips, right? Like, they like to just get it into an area, get into a foot race, put some pressure on the other team in a neutral zone. But I think that their defense have the ability to do all of 3 of those things. And by the way, they got a couple of outstanding defenders back there. I mean, Seth Jones has really gone to another level here. Paul Maurice was talking about him the other day, and just about when he got here, he kind of felt it might take 6 to 12 months to really kind of get really comfortable here. And he's really grasped what they wanted to do, and he gives them another body back there. Remember, they had Brandon Montour back there, who's a pretty darn good defenseman and can skate you out of trouble. Yeah. And Kipper, this is playing forward. I mean, we loved when defensemen were able to make a play and just put it right on your tape when you're in stride, or to get out of the zone. And they have guys that are able to do that. I think that really makes a big difference on how they want to play night in, night out.
2 Hall of Famers for us in '94, Leach and Zubov. Simple as that. When I think about what defies the Florida Panthers, and of course, all of the things that you just mentioned, but the one thing that keeps standing out above all of it for me, Edzo, is they pass the puck better than any team. Like, I'm amazed at the way that they can move the puck north, south, east, west, the rim arounds, the clean, the way they can pick up a puck clean on a wraparound and get it back to the middle of the ice. And it's really led for me by the 3 guys up the middle in Barkov, Bennett, and Lundell. Like, no one can touch that middle of the ice. And that's where the domination starts for me, is those 3 guys and their high IQ.